Philomena Kunk, the UK's queen of deadpan satire. She's made you laugh and cringe. And now there's a podcast all about this TV icon, Kunked, a very unofficial podcast. That's CUNKD on all podcast platforms. Kunked covers the brilliantly awkward world of Philomena Kunk, hosted by a razor-sharp Brit and a witty American who unpack every ridiculous moment with clever commentary and cultural banter. If you love Philomena Kunk satire, absurdity, and laughing till it hurts, Kunked is for you. So be sure to check out Kunked on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Kunked. Start listening right now.
This is Bad Movies We Love, part of the Shice Podcast Network.
If you're listening to this, you are the resistance.
Hello, Bad Movie Lovers, and welcome back to Juneffer Lopez, right here on Bad Movies We Love. I am your host, Nick Scheist.
The master of the stupid stuff!
Speaking of the stupid stuff, I did a fun little project over the weekend. It was a 2-minute long audio drama project, whatever that I could come up with, focused around the issue or the prompt of TMI, and I'm going to be releasing that as a little bonus episode. It's 2 minutes long, so it'll be quick and digestible, but if you know me and you listen to the show, I think it's going to fit pretty much with the brand and how things go. But we still have matters to attend to right here, right now, and first and foremost, I just want to say thank you to everybody out there that listens to the show, that tells somebody about the show, who's taken the time to fill out the listener survey. Anybody that's called the phone line and left a message or texted in or sent an email. This is the third most listened to month of the show in the show's history. It's the second best month of the year, but more people have tuned in this month than all but 2 months. So, all of you out there, thank you so much. It's really cool to see that the show is growing, that it's finding a bigger and wider audience, and, you know, the name in itself says it's Bad Movies We Love, but a lot of what we do here is we profess our love for the craft of filmmaking, the stylistic choices that go into films, and we really try to mine the valuable details that exist within bad movies. So thank you. Juneffer Lopez rolls on, and the final episode of the month next week is going to be the 100th movie we've ever covered here on Bad Movies We Love. So if you're hearing this and you want to send me an email or hit up the phone line or find me on social media and say something, look in the show notes. All that stuff's really easily accessible. But today, my wife joined me to talk about the movie that really solidified Jennifer Lopez as a superstar. And that is Adam Shankman's The Wedding Planner from 2001.
I love this movie because it's a nostalgia thing.
So, if nothing else, like, this movie's clearly like a star-making vehicle for her in a way that maybe some of her other movies were not.
She was the perfect person to kind of put into the rom-com universe.
As with a lot of rom-coms, I think there's heart in this movie.
It's the basic of most rom-coms.
Broken penis statue kind of humor.
I feel like that was not realistic at all.
You know, little sexual innuendo between the two of them.
Dad, no, of course not. I'd never get emotionally involved. Never. It's the doctor.
I'm confused. Is it the doctor or did you fall for the groom?
No, the doctor is the groom. The groom is the doctor. The doctor is Fran Donnelly's fiance.
Hi, babe.
Hi.
Hi, welcome back.
Thanks. It's been a while, I feel like.
Been since Hook, which was last summer, I think.
Oh, could you hear that?
Right? What was that? That was Endless Summer, so that was like August of last year?
Was it August?
Yeah, so it's been almost a full calendar year since you've joined me on Bad Movies We Love.
And here I am.
And here you are. Here we are.
Here we go.
Hi, everybody. If you're listening to this, number one, thank you. Number two, buckle up. I'm kind of looking at this as a test run for, or maybe not a test run, but like a little practice, little preview of what will sort of be the rubric for Rom-Com-a-thon.
Okay.
So I'm gonna do this show the way that we normally do Bad Movies We Love. So we'll go through all of the stuff for the most part that we usually do, and then I think when switching over to doing specifically the rom-coms only, then it'll be maybe a little bit different, not as structured, not as segmented.
Okay. That makes sense.
But you're the guest. This was your pick for Juneffer Lopez, so why don't you tell the audience what movie we're talking about?
We are talking about The Wedding Planner. Jennifer Lopez, Matthew McConaughey, Judy Greer, Justin Chambers, which I totally forgot was in it.
Is he Massimo?
He's Massimo, OG, Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, that's where I've seen his face before. Yeah. I was wondering because he looked familiar, and I was like, there's no way this guy's really Italian. I've seen him, well, he might be Italian, but I was like, he doesn't sound like Massimo sounds in this movie.
In real life, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, no. He doesn't, but he's great. I'm still very sad he's not on Grey's. And I heard recently an interview, I was watching something with Ellen Pompeo, and there's no plan of him coming back to Grey's at all ever. Not even for a cameo, which makes me really sad because he was OG intern with Ellen Pompeo when the show started.
Was he McSteamy or McSqueamy or McSteamy? Dreamy?
No, he was not.
He wasn't one of them. Okay,
nope.
That's fair. I don't watch the show, so I have no idea. But yeah, we're talking about The Wedding Planner from 2001. This is directed by Adam Shankman, written by Pamela Falk and Michael Ellis. You already mentioned the cast, but the person you left out is probably the third most prominent role in the movie, which is Bridgette Wilson-Sampras, who may be back to Bridgette Wilson. I don't know if her and Pete Sampras are still married at this point.
Oh, yeah. I can never remember her name. That's why.
She was big in the 90s.
Yes.
And then, as you know, I grew up watching tennis. My grandma was a big tennis fan, so she was always in the stands and on TV when Sampras was playing. And because Sampras was good, he was winning all the time, so he was on TV a lot. So I'm familiar with her from that, but in terms of her acting career, like, I don't know that I could name a ton of stuff. I feel like she's done something with Adam Sandler, but I'm not going to like push myself to look for that right now because we're recording. It's almost 9:00 at night right now. So I'm not going to get us too far into the weeds with having to look things up on the internet right now, but we're going to go to the tail of the tape. And this movie has an IMDb score of 5.4, so not terrible. It's respectable.
I'm still a little surprised because Adam Shankman is known for rom-coms and like dance movies, so, but also not entirely surprised after rewatching it this time, but we'll get to that later.
Well, it has a Metascore of 33 out of 100 from the critics. I think it was 40 reviews. I don't remember. Again, not going too deep into the weeds of looking it up. I already looked up the number. That's one. Letterboxd 2.7, so right in line with the 5.4 IMDb. Rotten Tomatoes critic score is only a 17 though. and the audience score gave it a 59. So somewhere between 5.5 and 6 is where it seems to land with the majority of audiences, because I think if you like rom-coms, you probably like the movie, but it ends up with a Bad Movies We Love total score of 43 out of 100, 43.4 to be exact, out of 100. So about 10 points outside the sweet spot for the kind of most rich conversations to be had on this show, I would say. But this is still a fun movie to look back on. I didn't have a bad time watching it, you know?
I didn't have a bad time watching it either. It was more just oh yeah, I can see why this is rated as a bad movie.
It's dated for sure.
It's dated. It's very dated. I think it's too just because I'm older now, where, you know, I was probably about the age or younger when the movie came out. And now that I'm 10, 15 plus years older than what they, I think, are portraying in the movie, I'm like, oh yeah, this is rough.
Yeah, there's almost this weird implied charm in a character who is not interested in his fiance, really, and sort of lies about his availability. And even when he defends it, it comes across as, oh, he's not in the wrong because, like, he didn't do anything, right? He says that, like, nothing happened. But it's not that nothing happened. It's like the intent of what he wanted to happen. And so I think at that time, it was a lot easier to make a story like that with the charming Matthew McConaughey and just say that, yeah, this is going to work. But I think looking at it now, 20 plus years down the line, and being married now, right?
Yeah.
Being
for sure.
being in a long-term committed relationship now, to see his behavior, it's not excusable in the same way.
Yeah, because I just looked up. This came out while we were still in high school.
Yeah, it's like, it's not that it's completely not understandable, right? A lot of people end up at the point where they're either unhappily married to somebody that they felt pressure to get married to, or they're about to get married and are not really in the mindset or the place in their life where they want to get married. It's not like these things don't happen. But since this movie came out, there's been, I don't know, 2 decades worth of reality shows that are focused on dating and love and have kind of shown us the real, well, real quote unquote, because this is reality TV, but they have shown us a very sort of candid version of these processes. And like in Love is Blind, we see people go to the altar all the time and it doesn't work out. They say no, but like they're in their tux and their wedding dress. And obviously this is a production, but I think in seeing stuff like that, there's just so many opportunities to read the writing on the wall before you get to the point where you're planning your wedding. And if you're really having those questions leading into your wedding, then you're probably not in a position to be getting married. And sorry to be going off on a tangent here, folks, but in preparation for our wedding, right, we got engaged and then we got married 6 months later.
5.
Yeah, 5. We planned it very quickly, but the day that we got married, right, I wasn't in there with the people that were helping me get ready being like, well, I don't know. And like, there was no like cold feet, you know. Even one of my sisters came down, she was asking me like how I was feeling, and I had been sick the week before. So my brain was like, oh, you know, I'm feeling better. I don't feel sick anymore. And she was like, oh, that's not what I meant. Like, she's like, how are you feeling, like, nerves wise? And I'm like, I'm fine. Like, I'm not nervous about this. I know what I'm doing. It's something I want to do. So
yeah, I think there's something to be said now, and, you know, fast forward over 20 years, like you said, the stigma around changing your mind, or just I think there's been more focus on the value of focusing on what you want versus going through the motions. And yes, of course, there's still people who just do it to do it. But I think it also comes from a different place of empowerment on each person's side, where it's like, oh, I don't have to do this. Like, I think if you want to call it the millennial generation, which we are a part of, we're on the older side of it, right?
Ouch.
Yeah, sorry. Our generation, our generation and younger pretty much are what I like to call the cycle breakers, in that it's not about like, we have to get married, we have to have kids, we have to have the white picket fence. Like, those quote unquote traditional values look very different for our generation and younger at this point. So I don't see the bulk of us getting into that kind of a situation. And same, I wasn't nervous. I was more so nervous about talking in front of people, but I wasn't nervous about getting married. You know what I mean? Like, it was is everything going to flow properly? You know, like, I heard the wrong song at one point, you know, like,
we started late because there was an accident on the freeway, so people were not showing up on time.
Right. Like, the logistics around it, not the like, oh my God, I don't know if I should be doing this. I don't know if this is the right decision. I don't know if this is the right relationship. You know, it was like, we'd already gone through that for a handful of years. And I think also now too, we are the generation that changed, like, it's okay to live together first. It's okay to like have those different kind of milestones. So when you get down to, okay, it's time to get married, you really know what you're doing, or at least hopefully so. Yes, you can still get trapped to a certain degree of like being fearful of starting over or whatever, but there's a different level of, I guess, security around knowing what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think in the terms of movie making, obviously it is high drama, right? And there is a movie, I can't think of what the title of it is, but it's the one where they run into the church at the end and like profess their love. And I think Wayne's World spoofs that at the end of the movie. But it's basically like, the woman I love is like getting married today, and I'm going to interrupt her wedding to profess my love to her, and we run off together, kind of thing. And like, that kind of big drama moment is obviously very good for a movie, especially if the writing's good enough to make you cheer for the characters along the way, so that payoff is rewarding, because it is like a big, risky romantic gesture to do that. Mm-hmm. But the reality of something like that is so small. But I think there was also just, our generation was sort of raised on rom-coms like this, which is probably not super healthy either. But I mean, as with a lot of rom-coms, I think there's heart in this movie, and, you know, it's about a character who plans everybody else's wedding. We don't even realize, though, like, that pretty much the reason for her being the way that she is because she went through heartbreak. And that's kind of just like thrown away very quickly in the movie. It's like, oh my God, my fiance's here. And then we ran into him, and then it's awkward, and then, okay, that's over. And then the movie just moves right along, and we get like enough backstory to understand. So I feel like the thing that really is the weakest thing in this movie is the writing. I can't say like the script, because who knows if the original script that was written is the one that ended up getting put on the screen, because like rewrites and shit happen throughout the course of the process. But there's a lot of things about the writing that get in the way of this.
Yeah, I think it's the storytelling.
It is a little bit, because it's like, when we first meet McConaughey's character, he's charming and affable, and obviously he has good chemistry with Jennifer Lopez, and like, those are all the things you want out of this movie, is to have good chemistry, make the audience want to cheer for them, then you kind of like put a wedge between them and make them figure it out, and then
it's about the chase.
Yeah, but it's like, it becomes like way too playful, despite sort of the seriousness of that. It's like, oh, I flirted with this guy, and then I found out that he's married and I'm planning his wedding. That would probably theoretically like be the end of it in real life. right? Well, I don't know.
I mean, I think so. I think, like the template of this kind of a rom-com is the basis, or like it's the basic of most rom-coms. And yeah, their chemistry is good. So there's part of you that, of course, wants to root for them. But I do think because of like where we're at and in general, I was like, I don't know that I can like root for this time around. Also, I found Jennifer Lopez's character to be whiny.
Interesting.
And
how so?
I think just not whiny necessarily like she's just whining, but in the more of the like pity party kind of state, I guess. And yes, understandable. I think maybe because we don't learn about the relationship trauma essentially until way later in the movie. But there's just something a little bit not off-putting, but that just felt off in general, that it was just her kind of like going through the motions and being a little bit on the whiny side. I don't know. I can't really pinpoint it. It was just that, and that's why I think like I just am old. I think it's, because I was probably that way in my 20s if they're supposed to be being portrayed in their 20s or whatever, that there's just something about the world owes me something kind of mentality, and this should be easier. That was just kind of like off for me this time around.
Yeah, I feel like the weakness comes again back down to the writing, because we see the vulnerability in her in the moment where she's drunk and sort of like confessing about like why she puts her walls up and how she doesn't like know her neighbors because she's like unwilling to like let anybody know her. And I think those are the characteristics that should be on the front foot of the story. Like we need to know who she is, not what she does.
Yeah, I think that's why I say it's a little bit of the storytelling, because I feel like they should have kind of led with the heartbreak story a little bit more, or just made it more of the foundation of the story, because then it would be more of it would be a bigger win in the end for her to get the guy. You know what I mean? So I think because they just kind of graze over that and we learned that later on in the movie, it was just like, okay, you could have pulled at my heartstrings much sooner in the movie if that was a bigger focus, or just like her vulnerability and why, like you're saying, like why she's kind of, got walls and all that ahead of time.
I mean, and even in that scene, it ends with McConaughey deciding to be like, now's the moment that I want to sort of like profess the value of my feelings to you when you're vulnerable and drunk right now. Like he doesn't take advantage of her physically, but I think emotionally he tries to, which again is like, this is not really necessarily a good look for this guy.
Yeah. A little creepy.
It is. I mean, he's still charismatic. She's still charismatic. They're both good looking. Like the pieces sort of fit together, but the ultimate picture that it paints, I think, leaves a little to be desired. But before we get too long in the tooth here with all the details, I want to take a moment to set the table for the audience about this movie, The Wedding Planner. Sadly, there's not that many production notes that I can give, but I'll give you what I've got. Well, Jennifer Lopez was not the first choice for this movie. The Wedding Planner still went on to gross $60.4 million in the United States and Canada, and $34.3 million internationally, for a worldwide total of $94.7 million. In the US, it opened at number 1 at the box office, and J-Lo's second album, titled J-Lo, also reached number 1 on the Billboard 200 the same week, making J-Lo the first entertainer ever to achieve a number 1 album and a number 1 film in the country simultaneously in the same week. So regardless of the legacy of The Wedding Planner itself, it serves as a pinnacle moment in Jennifer Lopez's career and is deservedly represented here at Bad Movies We Love during Juneffer Lopez. So that's pretty impressive to have that level of sort of like pop icon success at the same time. And she, like, her music career up until this point wasn't super deep. She had started, I think, around the mid 90s, I want to say, based on what I've seen from doing research for these other episodes. And Anaconda was 96. So, or 97, and The Cell was 96, somewhere in the same couple of years. So then 2000 hits, and between 98 and this movie, I think she released 2 albums, or at least a couple of singles, music videos. So she was really getting out there as a star for the first time. And so if nothing else, this movie's clearly a star making vehicle for her in a way that maybe some of her other movies were not.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like she was the perfect person to kind of put into the rom-com universe to help with that stardom.
Yeah,
especially.
And then it sort of became her bread and butter when it came to, acting roles, because she's charming, she's good looking, she just kind of became an easy target for this kind of movie. And when you release a movie that's number one, you have the number one movie and the number one album in the country in the same week, then you're going to get some more opportunities because, get a song on the soundtrack too. We can sell units of CDs, I guess, at the time.
See, we're old.
What were they? Were they cassette tapes? They were CDs.
No, in 2001 they were CDs, I think.
I mean, I had
in high school.
I had cassette tapes growing up, though. I recorded stuff off of the radio onto cassette tapes.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
I had the double-decker cassette tape CD player. Not double-decker, but do you remember that? It was the CD player was on the top, but it still had a spot for 2 cassette tapes, and it was everyone had it.
Yeah, we had one in the bathroom.
Yeah.
So, yeah, J-Lo takes off kind of. She ascends to a new stratosphere of fame and success with this. We've already talked a little bit about sort of the details, and when it came down to the synopsis haiku, I didn't really, despite having just watched the movie and knowing what the story is, putting together a haiku for this was a little difficult because how do you make a synopsis of an entire movie in 17 syllables? So a lot of the time what I do is try to make something that at least has some flow to it, even if it's not necessarily a synopsis. It gives you kind of a spiritual overview.
Yeah, I don't know if mine is super synopsis based, but you get the themes.
You do. You did get one ready then, I hear.
I did.
All right. Well, let's get to it. I'm going to go first, though, because I usually had my guest go first, especially when it was their first time on the show. But you've been on the show a couple times. I probably made you go first both times. So I've decided to put myself out there first, and I will do it here. Let's see, where is it? Okay. Mary had a plan, but in love she did not know. Steve gives her the glow. It's not great. My brain started to, for some reason I couldn't get Mary had a little lamb out of my head. So it was Mary had a plan, and then I was thinking her dress was fleet and white as not. I was like, no, this isn't gonna work. But I didn't want to backtrack, so I just figured it out. That last line does not close it out well, but Steve gives her the glow. All right.
I mean, I would hope so at this point. They just disrupted both their lives for this, so he better.
He better. All right, let's hear it.
Okay. Weddings are her job. Then falls for the groom herself.
Okay.
Whoops. Conflict of love.
Conflict of love. Okay. I mean, I think that's better than mine, in fairness. Good job.
Thanks.
Yeah, well, we've not really actually talked about why we think this is a good movie. So quickly, I want to do that because we have to pivot. But I will give it its props in that the leads are charismatic. It is functionally sufficient as a rom-com.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was not unfun to rewatch.
No. Yeah.
I still enjoyed it. But I did notice some of the sort of more dated elements of it a little bit more pronounced.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel
prominently.
I feel like I understand why our generation was set up for failure for relationships for so long. Because I think what stood out to me the most this time around was that normally I think in most of the other rom-coms, there's some kind of longer term buildup that you're rooting for them for. And Matthew McConaughey's character even says, like, I don't even know her. I don't know her dad's name, but I'm going to leave my fiance for her and like chase after her and stop the wedding that she was having. Like, to me, I'm like, that's not just awkward, but like not realistic. And again, I think it's definitely my age now compared to watching this in high school, because again, it's part of the template where every one of these rom-coms has a chase to rush to stop a wedding or break up with some other relationship and like profess the love and be like, you have to be with me. And there was not enough, again, probably just because I'm more relationship smart, I guess you could say, or healthy at this point. There wasn't enough, I feel like yes, their chemistry was fantastic, but there wasn't enough of that foundation to make it make sense.
It's like we almost kissed in the park and I'm about to implode
my whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like I said, I do give it.
Just thinking with little Steve.
Exactly. I do give it the credit where it's deserved. It's still a classic rom-com in my opinion. Love Jennifer Lopez, love Matthew McConaughey, love the cast and like part of the chaos around the wedding planning component. And I do think it's kind of funny because this theme runs true in so many different aspects forever, where she says in the beginning, those who can't do teach and those who can't wed plan. And I'm like, okay, that was, I felt like very impactful and very meaningful right out the gate for a rom-com, so that you are rooting. I was rooting for her happiness, of course, but I feel like that probably hit for me differently than it did when we watched this in high school.
Fair. I think for me, the reasons that I've already said sort of about the shortcomings in the story and the writing that we actually see make it to the final product don't leave a lot of room for believability. And then there's some like really, really dated stuff that ages poorly, where, you know, he's like, yeah, when I was a kid, I took a ballroom dancing. Oh, so you're gay. And it's like, because he dances? Like, all right. Like that was just the easy throwaway joke in 2001 that, like, you know, now would never make it into a movie that way. She's using like bro humor on him. Oh, you dance? You must be gay.
And that's why I feel like it's even more bizarre that it was like he wants to implode his life for this non-existent relationship. Like they're not even friends that much, really.
Yeah, they don't really know each other.
They don't know each other at all.
He's a doctor, though.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, those were. I did clock that too, and I was like, ooh, I'm not a huge fan of that.
Yeah, there's a couple instances like that in the movie where I'm like, didn't age well at all. Probably didn't really need that in the first place, but low-hanging fruit in the 2000s to just like make that joke at the time. But we're going to go back and we're going to take a look at the trailer so that we can see exactly how this movie was advertised to us back in 2001.
This Trailer Rewind is brought to you by The Wedding Exchange, your one-stop shop for all your secondhand wedding needs. The wedding industry is a big business. From venues to dresses to catering to decor, things add up quickly. That's why Mary and Steve Edison decided enough was enough and founded the Wedding Exchange. The idea was simple: to help couples find affordable solutions for their weddings and to help newlyweds recoup some of the expense from theirs. So Mary and Steve created a marketplace for just that. Post-nuptial couples can list anything they either didn't use or no longer need, and new couples can get those items at a massive discount. And if there's no physical item in the marketplace that suits your needs, you can also barter your time for goods and services or just swap labor. So don't let the pressures of planning and budgeting get in the way of your perfect wedding. Buy, sell, trade, live happily ever after with the Wedding Exchange. And now, back to the show.
Explain to me how you have a career in making everybody else's dreams in love come true, but in your own life.
You know, Dad, it's okay.
While Mary was planning everyone else's love life, she didn't have one of her own.
Mary, you haven't been on a date in 2 years.
You can't avoid love forever.
You know those who can't do teach? Those who can't wed. Plan.
So fate stepped in.
You okay?
You saved my shoe, my life.
You're the guy.
I'm the supervising pediatrician here.
Mary and I were gonna go to Golden Gate Park. They show old movies, and you should come with us.
Well,
we won't take no for an answer.
This is by far the coolest thing I've ever done in this city.
Wanna dance?
Now, for the first time, her love life and her work life were a match made in heaven.
Little Seinfeld guitar in the background.
Mary, meet my parents and mother, as previously discussed in detail. You won't be singing at the wedding.
All right, wedding woman. You give my little girl whatever she wants. No expense spared.
You can finally meet my fiance, Eddie. Come here. Eddie, this is Mary, the wedding planner.
You cannot sacrifice your entire career over this.
We danced and it was nice, but nothing happened.
I can do this.
Little Steve was
Plan this
feeling a little
wedding.
frisky on that
Cold
dance.
feet.
And I can treat that doctor like any other faceless groom.
I am gonna let her plan the wedding.
And that's just what I'm gonna do. Because I love a challenge. And because I'm a professional.
That's why I love him. He gives me humanity.
Mom, would you please shut up? Hi.
Columbia Pictures presents.
I'm sorry.
I wonder, is Eddie gonna be the last person I ever sleep with?
A story about finding love at the wrong time.
What if what I think is great really is great?
For the right reasons.
But it's not as great as something greater.
Your wedding planner took off.
Mary?
Yeah.
Did you ever like somebody but the timing was off?
I'm in love with your daughter.
Way off.
What the hell are you standing around talking to us for? Go and look for her. I like him.
Jennifer Lopez.
Do you ever think about that night in the park?
Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, we know you do, buddy.
The Wedding Planner.
Hurry! So weird. I mean, it doesn't really like sell it like anything it isn't. But that trailer is a reminder too that Kevin Pollak is in this movie and is just like completely wasted. He's such a good actor and he's so funny that to just put him in as the friend that McConaughey plays golf with once for 25 seconds is a waste of his talent.
Do we even see his face?
Yeah.
Oh.
He calls him, they're driving in the golf cart and it's like a head-on shot.
Oh, yeah.
Before McConaughey wants to tee off on the next hole or whatever. But yeah, Kevin Pollak is way too good of an actor to be stuck in sort of that position. Same thing with Fred Willard. I think going back to that question about why someone would say this is a bad movie, I feel like it wastes a lot of its potential. You have Fred Willard playing Basil St. Mosley, like this very eccentric dance instructor. And I feel like there's moments scattered throughout the movie that are a very different kind of comedy that are actually really funny, but it almost prefers to use the broken penis statue kind of humor, right? I felt like the scene where they end up at the vineyard and Massimo shows up and it's like they're going through the whole sort of like fake process of pretending that they're engaged, and you have the mother of the bride and she's singing and she hits that high note and it freaks the horse out, right? Like that stuff is funny, and I feel like the movie, while it is charming, is missing the comedy stuff. Like, it's not that the performances are bad, it's that the movie's not very funny. Like, it should be, I think, funnier than it is to be called a romantic comedy. And I think, what words did they spell in Scrabble? I wrote it down in my notes, but she has like a Scrabble league that she plays in with some older characters and her dad, and you have like two retirees. You have the lady that played Happy Gilmore's grandma, Frances Bay, and her word is, I think, munch. And then the guy across the table from her, his word is shaft. And so I feel like there is like this, little sexual innuendo between the two of them. Because at first I thought it was a retirement home setting and that she's going to visit her dad and she's playing with like other people in the home, which isn't the case. And then I'm looking at her dad, and for a second I'm like, is Jennifer Lopez in whiteface in this movie? Like, I don't think there's any mention of her sort of being like a Latina character, really. And her dad, I think, is a white dude. And her mom is not in the story. And then they mention going to, I believe, Italy, which is where Massimo comes into the story. So, not that it's a huge part of necessarily her trajectory in the story, right? But movies made around this time seem to sort of be oblivious to racial identity when it comes to like Hollywood mainstream stuff, or at least they're not interested. I talked about it in Money Train, and maybe I didn't even handle like that conversation all that well, but it's not uncommon to see movies from this time that are trying to sort of whitewash things. I mean, we've seen it since this as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if the whole idea was to sort of not entertain the fact that her character like has cultural specifics that are important to telling the story. Like, she essentially has no culture. She's just like a city girl, right? She lives in an apartment, she goes to work, she dresses nice, but there's nothing like specific about her that speaks to her being Jennifer Lopez. And maybe at the time, like, she didn't have the power to do that. At least in Money Train, it was like, yeah, she's Officer Santiago. There was this insistence, at least because the story took place in New York, that her being a Latina cop in that story actually mattered. So to see that this comes like 6 years after Money Train, and there isn't any of that, is strange, because she mentions in a lot of the interviews for Money Train that I watched that it was important to her to see that representation on screen.
Yeah, and I also thought it was weird because I didn't remember this, where she was like, both her parents are from Italy. And I was like, wait, what?
So yeah, is she playing an Italian?
Yeah.
Which again, I don't know. That's why I was like, wait a second. I was like, her dad's Italian? I was thrown off by it. I was surprised because it does kind of the same thing that Money Train does, is where there is a mention of some sort of like cultural ethnicity that then doesn't have any like bearing on the actual story. It's more of like a subplot or like just some plot convenience to have a reason to have Massimo enter the story as this very like eccentric and borderline, maybe, I don't know, developmentally disabled guy. Like, the way that they portray him is very sort of kid gloves, right? He's this Italian guy that comes to America and is obsessed with like Kraft macaroni and cheese. And it's like, this is what you chose to do. This is what you chose to do.
Yeah.
The only thing that you mentioned in terms of like any cultural specificity is this dude is from Italy, and then he comes to America and he's making Kraft mac and cheese out of a box and being like, this is amazing. And it's like, what? Get the hell out of here with that. I'm not even Italian. I'm offended for Italians on that. But, you know, they didn't even hire an Italian actor again. So very, very messy with sort of how these movies operate. And I think that's more an indication of how Hollywood moves.
The time.
Yeah, than this movie in particular. It's not like there weren't like filmmakers that were like moving in sort of the right direction and trying to sort of give representation in the right direction. But I think in a mainstream A-list Hollywood rom-com in 2001, that was just not going to be the case. And, you know, the one that I also remember is Made in Manhattan, right? She's a house cleaner.
Yes.
And that's like also sort of, I mean, problematic in its own way, I guess, with the benefit of looking 20 years in the past, but very much sort of in the vein of Pretty Woman. But I mean, I like Ralph Fiennes. I like her. Like, it has, again, all of the sort of tapestry of an effective rom-com of its era. And I think as we begin to do the rom-com show more and more and more, we're going to begin to see a lot of the sort of like the cracks in the foundation of that genre. But I think we'll find some good stuff in there as well. And
I thought of another one to add to my list.
All right.
I may have already said it, but I don't remember if I did
just
or not.
keep adding to that list for now. But we did the trailer rewind. I really wanted to put together trivia for this, but then I looked at the production notes and there's really not many. I looked at the trivia for the film. There's not that much that I saw. I watched an interview with Jennifer Lopez and Matthew McConaughey on the 20th anniversary of the film. And I mean, it was cute. You know, it was like a Zoom call that they turned into like a YouTube thing, or maybe it was YouTube Live or something. But like basically she said that she was trying to get the shoe out of the manhole cover, but she like knew how to do it. But then in the scene, she wanted to make it look as authentic as possible by like hanging on until the last possible second. But then when I actually see the scene unfold, number one, I don't think he hit her hard enough with the tackle to like send her into the shadow realm like she's in, right? He's like, you don't have a concussion, but then she like passes out.
Yeah.
It was like, wait a second, I think she might have had a concussion, Doc. If she passed out, she probably hit her head pretty hard. But then when like I see it, it doesn't look like she hits her head, right? So it's like he tackled her, but they didn't like jump out of a second story window and hit the ground. They acted as if it was a garbage truck that had no brakes and was going backwards. It's like, it's a dumpster. Like, even if it hit her, she wouldn't have died. It would have smacked into her and she would have gotten knocked down. But I think she would not have been hit any harder than Matthew McConaughey laid her out with that tackle. I feel like the net damage would have been the same to her either way. Because, right, like she ends up in the hospital with a neck brace. She maybe has a concussion. They had to do a CT. I mean, like, yeah, I'm like, it's a dumpster. Even if it's full of trash, like, sure, it's heavy. It's got momentum. It's definitely going to run her over.
And she also could have taken her foot out of the shoe and
her
moved.
foot was out of the shoe. She was just trying to save the shoe.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of like the meet cute in the movie too. I was just like,
little weak.
Little weak in the sauce department there. But we're going to just go straight into some bonus trivia since I don't actually have trivia questions to ask you. But Jennifer Love Hewitt and Brendan Fraser were set to star in this movie, but ended up both having conflicts and dropped out. So it was going to be pretty much a Jennifer one way or the other. But Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. were also slated into that and ended up having to withdraw due to conflicts. Minnie Driver turned down the role in the lead, And I think given her style of acting at that time, I feel like she's a better fit for the character that we saw. So it actually makes sense if I just like in my mind replace Jennifer Lopez in the movie with Minnie Driver. I'm like, okay, maybe the movie patches up some of the holes that I'm thinking of, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
J-Lo's like, she's got it together, I think, like a little too much. She's very tightly wound, but like she dresses nice, she looks good, she's successful. Oh, what I was going to say about the trailer was there's that scene where in the trailer she like takes this weird awkward bite of whatever TV dinner she's eating, which I don't even think is a TV dinner, but she's like eating on a tray table in front of the TV, and it's like this very like snarly kind of like big mouth bite, but then in the movie she doesn't do that. So she's very petite and very dainty in the way that she eats, and she like cuts the piece and then like puts the knife down and switches hands to like use the fork, and it's like this very dainty bite. And so in my mind, I'm like, okay, they obviously filmed parts of the movie where the humor was more dialed up and it was like actually funnier. And I feel like you see her in the office when we first meet her, and she is buttoned down, blazer, very professional, very in control, headset, boss bitch, right? And then she gets home, and that's where you should see sort of like the unraveling of that. And she comes in through the front door and she puts her keys on a hook, but it's not a hook. There's just a nail in the wall. So I'm like, that is a very subtle detail, I think, that is smart, but you're not actually leaning into this. Like, if the idea is that she comes home and like her professional armor is now not there and she's like messy at home or sloppy at home, or she's very different than she is outside, then that automatically, as the audience, brings us in. It's like we see her being in her most vulnerable state, and we already understand that like when she goes out and she's professional, this is a different version of her than when she's by herself. So I feel like a lot of the little things like that were there, but were removed from the movie, maybe from like a test audience perspective or something, or like, I don't know. But those two little details of just her and her apartment make a big difference. Cause it's like, if she eats like a slob, but then when she's at work, she's like button down blazer, pantsuit, like looking perfect, would never do that in public kind of thing. She doesn't even have like a key dish or a table by the door. It's a nail in the wall that she hangs her keys on. Like, this is all very sort of low class in comparison to the person that she presents to the outside world. And I think that dichotomy makes for a much more interesting character than we actually get out of her. So it's interesting that that scene is in the trailer that way.
Yeah.
Because I used it when I cut together the promo for the month, because I was like, oh, that's great. Like her just taking that like sort of meaty, snarly bite with the fork, and her lip is all sort of like raised up and she's got attitude in doing it. That's way different than like, ooh, let me cut my broccoli into a tiny little bite-sized piece where I barely have to open my mouth to like get the broccoli inside. It's like these are two different people by design, I think.
Yeah.
And like that's a problem for what the movie ultimately wants to do. But I don't know if you noticed, but I know you're a rom-com fan. So there are fan theories out there that Bree Turner is she's the actress who plays the very first bride in the movie, where she's freaking out. There is this fan theory that she is also playing the exact same character as she did in My Best Friend's Wedding, but she was a bridesmaid in that movie. And so this is like, she's still unlucky in love at this point. But I don't know for sure.
I mean, I did.
Interesting.
Yeah, I did recognize her. And it's funny because after we were talking about this, I was like, is My Best Friend's Wedding considered bad, like low enough on the score? Because I feel like I wanted to incorporate that from a compare and contrast standpoint.
I feel like it's a better version of this type of story, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't feel, I mean, I understand the fan theory as a whole, but I don't feel like, because in this movie, she's a bride. And when she's a bridesmaid in the other movie, it's really more so like she's kind of just in the intro. And she doesn't have a storyline in My Best Friend's Wedding.
Yeah, that's fair.
But interesting that people are connecting that.
Yeah.
I also think it's funny because, I love the show Elsbeth, right?
Yeah.
And Carrie Preston.
Our boy Guy Augustini showed up on that.
Yeah, he did. But Carrie Preston was from My Best Friend's Wedding, too. So anyways, just like the rom-com universe.
Yeah, and I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if sort of like all of the people like in that space sort of shared some tips or tricks or worked with each other in some capacity. There was probably a lot of crossover because that genre, especially from like the mid 90s to 2000 range, you could almost like watch all the movies together and maybe not quite be able to tell them all apart because they do operate so similarly. So I feel like any space to differentiate yourself is a good opportunity to take, which is why I like 27 Dresses, because I felt like this is doing something that, while familiar and operating in the same space, sort of takes the idea and pushes it beyond what we've normally seen out of the genre.
Yeah, and I was just saying, I think I was saying it to you recently. I was like, I feel like we don't get enough rom-coms anymore.
Yeah, I mean, the ones that we do get were like Love Hurts, but it was like action rom-com. We didn't really even like that one.
And I wouldn't even consider that a rom-com really from like this kind of template.
Oh, of course, yeah. From this, yeah, I think because there isn't the stars for it right now. Although, as much as I didn't want to see it, the Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell one that came out like last year, people really liked that movie. And I was like, I don't know, it just doesn't interest me. It feels like you're just taking like the hottest guy and hottest girl like in the business right now and shoehorning them into a project together to capitalize on it. But I heard it was good. I haven't seen it, so I can't really speak on it.
We can watch it. I didn't watch it yet.
No.
But I feel like also Nicholas Sparks kind of disappeared. And that's why we're missing some rom-coms.
Oh, yeah, it's possible. One small note about the trailer before we move on out of this bonus trivia section. At the very beginning of the trailer, which I think I had paused it a little bit beyond that, the Columbia logo, the production studio, is dressed in a wedding dress instead of the traditional toga and is holding a bouquet of flowers. However, that iconography was not used before the movie when the Columbia logo comes up. It was only used for the trailer. So similar to some of those scenes that we saw, even the scene with the trash can was reversed. Like in the actual movie, it happens right of screen, and in the trailer, it happens left of screen. So I don't know why that was the case, but it seems like something that like is so tiny you probably shouldn't have had to do it. But
well, it's also interesting there's no trivia around this.
There is. It's just not interesting.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like those kind of things to me would be interesting. Like why were those changes kind of made, or why are we seeing something different in the trailer versus, I mean, I know things that, that happens a lot. Like we saw something recently where we were like, oh, this wasn't in the movie, but it was in the trailer. Maybe it was Novocaine.
Maybe, yeah.
Something. But so like, I understand, like, especially when they do the screeners and have audience feedback and stuff, but put something in the trivia, I feel like, especially if it's something drastic enough that it's noticeable.
Yeah, this is the trivia. The mother, Franny's mother, who she tells not to sing, is Joanna Gleason. Yeah. She sings poorly in the movie, but she actually is like a Broadway musical regular. And she was in Into the Woods, and she won the Tony for Best Actress in a Musical in 1988 for that. So this idea, it's like an inside joke. If you don't know who she is, that joke doesn't work. And it's layered at several points in the movie to be like she wants to sing and she shouldn't sing. And then when she does sing, it freaks out the horse. Like, I feel like there is maybe a better series of jokes available to pair with that. But yeah, if you don't know that she's a Broadway singer, the sort of like her desire to sing and the daughter not wanting that, it just seems kind of like petty between the two of them. So having an inside joke in a movie that's a comedy that needs like outside jokes for everybody kind of falls a little flat. But we didn't actually do trivia, so I don't have a pre-designated number of spins on the bonus wheel. but we're going to spin it anyway. So let's give it a whirl. You, unlike the usual audience or the usual guest, doesn't really ever get to hear the wheel spinning because I do it and it's not connected. So, which minor character deserves a spin-off, and what would it be about?
I guess I don't know who's considered minor characters in this. Other than everyone but Jennifer Lopez and Matthew McConaughey.
And I would say Bridgette also. It's like those are probably the three main characters in the story.
I'd say Judy Greer.
Yeah.
Because I love her.
Yeah. She'd be fun to watch and sort of that secondary, like if they made like a Wedding Planner 2 and it was now like her story.
Her story, her business.
And she's a better comedic actress, no offense to Jennifer Lopez. Like Judy Greer is
That's
comedic.
her thing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So I'd say Judy Greer, and it could be just like a sequel to like she's running the show now.
Yeah, could be.
So how many spins do I get?
I don't know. I just spun it again. We'll figure it out. If we run into a question that's lazy or that I don't like, then maybe we'll stop it. Okay. So if you're going to make this movie today, who do you want to be the big three? You get to fan cast the J-Lo role, Mary, the McConaughey role, and Steve, and the Bridgette role. What was her name even? Already forgot. Just watched this like an hour ago. Yes, it's that kind of movie, folks.
I would say
Fran. All right, what do you got?
I would say Zendaya.
Okay.
Or Emily Blunt, because I love her. And then for the guy, and Florence Pugh.
Yeah. Has she done a rom-com at this point? I feel like We Live in Time was not a comedy.
I feel like it was not like a hardcore comedy, but I feel like
it was funny.
It had its comedic moments.
It did. And I will say.
And her and Andrew Garfield.
They're both good actors, so.
They were great. So I'd love to see them do more together. So I'd say Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield. But I think she could also be good as the fiance.
Oh, yeah. Just like play like a. Because it's like the way that Bridgette plays it is not even that she's like this controlling.
No,
bitch,
she's not awful at all. She's not a villain.
Yeah.
She's not like a bad character. She's just like.
That's the thing I think that this movie does best is that it shows respect between the female characters and that Mary is not really interested in like betraying Fran.
Yeah.
She's like, no, I respect her and like you deserve happiness and I don't want to do this to you. So I think a lot of movies maybe before this would have definitely cast the sort of rich, blonde, elitist wife with the bitchy parents as the villain.
Yeah.
Which Fran is definitely not in this movie. But I wouldn't mind seeing Florence play a villain. I mean, the role that broke her out to me was the one where she is a villain.
Yeah.
So, but before move on, Florence in We Live in Time, she taught me how to break eggs the correct way, and I have not had a shell in my egg yolk since.
Okay. I think you're going to have to show it to me because I can't remember what it is. I've actually only had like 2 shells of all the eggs I've been making, but I can't remember how she did it, so just show it to me later.
I will.
Tomorrow.
Thanks, Flo.
Thanks, Flo. So I'd say for the men, definitely Zac Efron, even though, I mean, he
Zac and Zendaya. Is this going to be a musical?
Yeah, I would love it to be a musical. I mean, I loved them together in Greatest Showman.
I am aware. That's why I'm asking.
But I mean, he did even a good job with Nicole Kidman and
in the thing I didn't watch.
Yeah, the thing you didn't watch. Michael B. Jordan can pull off a rom-com. Austin Butler can do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind, like, because Glenn Powell's already done it. I think we probably have to do that one maybe for the Rom-Com-a-thon to sort of like complete the circuit.
Okay.
All right. Well, that gives us at least enough to work with. But we'll go to one more question, and that is, if you could be one character in this movie, which character would you be and why?
I would probably, at my age right now, I would probably pick Judy Greer because I don't want to deal with the drama.
Yeah, she gets to be the assistant and just kind of help out, like best of both worlds there. Okay, cool. Now we're going to go to more or less and just simplify it. We dumb it down. Like you get one thing that you want to see more of in the movie and one thing that you want less of in the movie.
Okay. Just in general?
Yep, that's it.
Oh.
Simplify.
Okay. So I would say, I mean, I kind of mentioned it earlier. So more of Jennifer Lopez's backstory and just like, yeah, why she's a wedding planner and why this is difficult for her. And less of I would say, even though I'm a fan of him as an actor, less of the Massimo storyline. I feel like it was not necessary. Like it didn't need to be there, and I still don't. I mean, I get the relevance, but yeah,
I couldn't believe that she was actually considering marrying him. Like there was nothing to suggest that. He made her fucking mac and cheese and was like, "Let's be buddy buddy."
Yeah, I feel like that was not realistic at all. I don't think she would have actually done that in any timeline.
And then, okay, was it just me or her wedding dress was shit?
It was.
It looked like she was dressed with like the Handmaid's Tale headpiece.
Yeah. Considering how we'd seen her outfits throughout the entire movie.
And the weddings that she's planned.
Yeah, the dress was awful. They did her dirty.
I mean, it might have been intentional to show that like,
this isn't what she was wanting or looking forward to.
She was settling for this sort of like very plain and docile kind of life that she didn't really want for herself. But like, I know you're getting married at the courthouse, but like, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, someone designed that dress and no, don't. If you see the movie, do not get married in that dress. I don't care who you are.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's my answer.
The Handmaid's Wedding. Okay. Well, that's fine. Is there anything like specific about the movie that you really wanted to talk about that we have not spoken about yet?
Not really. I know I picked this movie and I remember loving it in high school, but I can't remember how frequently I watched it after that.
Fair.
Probably a fair amount because that's what I did, but I can't remember the last time I watched this in general. And I think I had mentioned to you, like, before we started, like, this didn't hold up for me. So I love this movie because it's a nostalgia thing, but I feel kind of not bad, but like, I feel a little bit like I shouldn't have picked this movie because I can't come here and be like, I still love this movie and it should still be a cult classic. And like, I support it 100% and I still love it as much as I did the first time I watched it, which I don't know if like everyone usually feels that way about the movies they pick, but I guess.
I mean, there's always trepidation. There's definitely times where I pick something from like 30 years ago where I'm like, I love this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, ooh, this might be a mistake. We may be entering into some uncharted waters here, but most of the time it goes well. But it's also stuff a lot of the time that sort of was pre-high school, like more formative childhood years that weren't late 2000s, or excuse me, early 2000s, later high school years. But you know, this isn't a bad movie in the sense that I've seen way worse.
Oh yeah,
way worse movies than this. However, I feel like it is an important one to include in the conversation about Jennifer Lopez as an entire sort of like career, because this movie made her the first entertainer ever to have a #1 album, #1 movie in the country at the same time. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, and you even said like when the credits started rolling and they're playing her song, you're like, oh, they even put this like in the movie in the credits. So yeah. I wonder if that had anything to do with it.
My
Probably
love won't cost a thing.
But it is interesting. Yeah, I don't think this is a bad movie in the sense of like, don't watch it. This is a horrible movie. It's just that my love scale is not as high as it was.
Yeah, I think
guess you could say.
the best way I could describe it is that to me, it feels like a movie that's biggest strengths are holding up its weaknesses. Like it's being weighed down by a lot of stuff, but the fact that J-Lo is good, the fact that McConaughey is good, the fact that it has a really good cast, the fact that it's sort of cut from a mold or cut from a cloth that already exists, really, I think, holds up all of the areas where it is weakest. But I think just from a pure perspective of like trying to be honest about what I saw, I feel like in comparison, even to just a lot of other rom-coms, its weaknesses are a little bit more noticeable. It's still like pedals in the same thing where it's like, you know, when you're going to see like Julia Roberts and like Richard Gere or like, you know, Hugh Grant and somebody in a movie, like you're kind of expecting the chemistry and the star power of the leads to do a lot of the heavy lifting, which is still the case in this movie. But it just felt like there was a lot of work that those people were doing. Like if you take this exact same story and you recast it without A-listers, like I don't think this movie is successful. I don't think it's number one, like any of that. So
yeah, and I think I compare it maybe too because I am still a diehard My Best Friend's Wedding supporter.
Yeah.
And I still love it just as much as I have always loved it. And I think that is a rom-com with a slightly different template that like I don't remember when it came out in comparison to this movie, but it took a little bit more of a risk, I think, in that sense, but I respected it for it. And again, it's Julia, you know, Roberts and Dermot Mulroney, who you can't go wrong there. But again, like the leads definitely hold significant weight. But we can talk about that if we do that on a rom-com, another rom-com episode. But yeah, I mean, I still had fun with it. It wasn't like I didn't like this and I was like, oh, just make it end. I still enjoyed it, but it just didn't hold up as far as as strong of a love for me.
That's fair. That's fair. Look, it happens sometimes. And I think being able to look at it and be like, hey, this doesn't fulfill me in the way that it used to. I mean, like, you're a different person now than you were when you probably watched it last. A lot of things have changed. Like, it's okay to change your mind, and it's also okay to still love something that's bad because, like, fuck, that's what we do here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I would still say, like, it's worth watching it. It's worth having in someone's catalog.
Yeah. I mean, you could throw this up there for, like, a McConaughey
month.
Yeah. Or a J-Lo month. So,
yeah. I mean, I was also thinking in comparison to 10 what was it? 10 Ways How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Which is a slightly different McConaughey rom-com.
Well, this kind of like
character, but also similar.
Yeah, it kind of also launched him into like the rom-com
universe.
Yeah, and he went on to make many more of them, as did J-Lo. But you know, we've said what we've had to say, so now it's time to hear from the critics and hear the really horrible things as we head over to Critics Corner. So we've got a overall Metascore of 33 based on 29 scores. 33 is kind of shit. We start at the bottom as we always do. And let's see, we've got 2 20s on the board. One is from the Austin Chronicle, and that's Kimberly Jones. And we've got one from the Wall Street Journal, and that's Joe Morgenstern. So who do you want to hear from?
They're both 20s?
They're both 20s.
I can't read it from here, but pick the one that's longer.
The one that's longer? Okay, that's going to be the Wall Street Journal.
Okay.
Says, the best thing about a movie as silly as this is that it makes such modest demands of your attention. As the story unfolded with all the energy of California in a Stage 3 alert, I staved off brain death by trying to imagine an alternate version.
Ouch.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of boring, in fairness.
It is. I mean, I was also sleepy, so.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Bad.
As were you.
Bad combo.
Yeah.
But yes, I did watch it all, in fairness. Okay, we've got New York Times' Dana Stevens in with a 30. says it's like watching two superbly conditioned rowers try to race a boat made of folded newspaper. Hard as they work, they just can't make it go any faster. And that's pretty much what I just said about you have these two leads who have good chemistry and they are the strengths, but they are weighed down by so many other things that they're doing so much work.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that is a good reflection of going back to like what we were talking about in the beginning, where it comes down to the writing.
For sure. I mean, you can only do so much. And I mean, like, no matter how charismatic you are, if like you're forced to read something on the page that just doesn't work, you can try. I mean, look, full disclosure, like I wrote a 2-minute script that you helped me, and the 5-6 times that we read through it, you know, we tried different inflections and different readings of things. And the more we read it, the more we got comfortable with what we were working on. And we kind of just like found our pace and our timing for that. And it got better and better. But I mean, if what I had written was just pure shit, then like no matter what, like it's still going to be shit. Not to say that this movie is entirely shit, but I think the point being made is that there's only so much that star power is going to do for you. You still got to bring it home, which a lot of other, I think, rom-coms do better. There's only a 2-point difference between that and the next one. So we're going to jump to a 42, and this is the Portland Oregonian. Kim Morgan says, Lopez is fine, sometimes quite funny, but she's better playing the take no prisoners planner than a goofy, insecure dork. And she's right. They don't let us see her be the goofy, insecure dork other than like the one time. So you either need to lean into one or the other, and the movie sort of dabbles in half measures. So we'll move up the board to the 50s, and we've got also 2 on the board here, one from Slate and one from the Miami Herald. So which one do you want?
Are those the ones at the top?
There's these 2. It doesn't matter where they are. Just do you want to hear from Miami Herald or Slate?
Where's Slate from?
I don't know.
All right, Slate.
It's a magazine, so I don't think it has like a regional denomination, you know. Okay, anyway, there's some weird typesetting issues here. It says if the preview something, if that's truly what it is, blah blah. Okay, that's all broken. Never mind that. It says has a beginning, a middle, and an end. A host of good lines, and so many goofy surprises that it's hard to believe that there's anything more to see in the picture itself. They wouldn't show you the entire movie in the coming attraction, would they? So this is a commentary sort of on the trailer being sort of generic and basically spelling out
the movie,
the entire movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. Like wherever the quote got pulled from has some weird formatting issues. So the beginning of it says the preview ampersand hashtag 8212 semicolon. Yeah. That's not readable.
Yeah.
So in lieu of that, we're going to pivot back to the Herald. This is Renee Rodriguez says the wedding planner dissolves into a mopey, leaden romance that piles on the contrivances before limping to its foregone and rote conclusion. Fair. We got 2 60s on the board. Salon Magazine or the Los Angeles Times.
Los Angeles Times.
Let's go. This is Kevin Thomas gives us one sentence. The picture is never less than pleasant, but it's not more than that often enough. And I think that is very fair and very in line with the experience I had. It's not unpleasant, but it has more potential than it ever allows us to really fully enjoy.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well, so now that we've had our chats, we've mentioned a couple other movies. What is a good gateway drug movie for someone who's never seen The Wedding Planner? Doesn't have to necessarily be another J-Lo or McConaughey movie, but something that is in the ballpark that would convince somebody that The Wedding Planner is worth taking a chance on.
I mean, there's so many floating in my head, like I said, so because I'm biased, I'm going to go with My Best Friend's Wedding.
Yeah, that's probably like a better version of this where there is sort of competition between people for the groom, and it's kind of like this thing that's not supposed to happen, but they just can't not have it happen. The chemistry is just too fucking good.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I mean, I would.
And there's a chase. There's a significant chase for that too. Just roles are reversed a little.
Yeah. And, I'd probably just say Maid in Manhattan because it'll keep it in the J-Lo universe. Maybe people haven't even seen that one enough. She's got another one that I can't think of off the top of my head that I've seen that's a pretty good rom-com, but I'll let that go and I'll just stick with Maid in Manhattan.
Okay.
I mean, that pretty much wraps it up. That's the end of the show. I'm not doing word association for this one, although maybe would have been fun for this. I just didn't prepare it. But plugs-wise, obviously, we have Hers, His, and Ours, which we need to get back on track with, where, we finished our battle camp stuff, and then that kind of derailed us from watching Brothers and Sisters, and we haven't done This Week on the Couch in a while, but that is more of a hey, we're watching things at home. We need to do it because we watched all of the first 2 seasons of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. We're now watching Love Island.
That's right. Welcome to the dark side.
I know. So we're definitely on the couch doing some watches, but we also watch stuff like Novocaine from home, right? Fubar just started back on Netflix again. So I've got a TV show that I watch that I can talk about. Love, Death, and Robots also is back and had its season. So I think there's more stuff to talk about. And then you join me over at the Shice Podcast to do This Week at the Movies, which we also haven't done in a while. But I think what we'll do is just reserve that kind of stuff for specifically when we go to the movies to see a movie. That way it's This Week at the Movies.
Okay.
Not This Week in Movies. And then the other thing is, the sub-series Rom-Com-a-thon will probably operate similar to this, and then we're just going to talk about rom-coms, good, bad, everything in between. If there's one that you really want to hear us talk about, then let us know. But that is going to be one of the members-only episodes up on Bad Movies We Love. So if you sign up for $5 a month, you get that and Bad Movie Futures and Buy 'em on Sci-Fi Con. I want to develop a horror movie one too, but I don't know how yet. I think I want to do something like Are We Scared Yet? And just really just dial into watching horror movies that we know are maybe not necessarily good, but are there moments that are actually scary? So it's kind of diluting the conversation of the entire film into just fear stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's doable.
Yeah. I think especially because a whole horror movie is not always scary.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. Yeah. There's the psychological component of it too.
Yeah. Well, remains to be seen. That's just yet another sub-series. I got too many shows. I got to record 4 this week. And then I'm going to have to edit this one tomorrow morning. Yay! All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for being here, babe.
Thanks for having me back.
It's fun. We'll do Rom-Com-a-thon soon.
Okay.
All right. Take care, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Thank you to Christen for coming on the show. I really wish the movie would have lived up to the memory that she had of it, but it was fun sitting down and talking with her nonetheless. If you enjoyed listening to us, we usually get together over at the Shice Podcast where we do This Week at the Movies. But we also finally started our own show, and that's Hers, His, and Ours, HOURS. And that's where we talk about all the TV we're watching, and that's where our Brothers and Sisters deep dive is. So make sure to look in the show notes for the links to that stuff. And of course, thank you to everyone who took the time to listen to the episode. I know there's a seemingly infinite number of options when it comes to podcasts, and I appreciate you letting me into your ear holes and hopefully into your hearts. In all seriousness, though, time is valuable, and I am very grateful that you've entrusted me with yours. If you enjoy the show, please consider leaving a review or at least a rating and telling a friend about it. If you don't enjoy it, then maybe let's keep that between us. As I mentioned in the open, the new members-only section is in fact live at badmovieswelove.captivate.fm/support, where you're going to get access to a bunch of goodies for only $5 a month. And I would absolutely love to hear from you, so if you have a bad movie you love and would like to be a guest on the show, you can contact me at badmovieswelove@theshice.com, or Bad Movies We Love spelled LUV on Twitter and Instagram. And until next time, take care, be well, stay safe, and have fun however you get your movies. I know you're out there somewhere, Rids. I love you.